Happy September. Hope you are starting this month great. Hope you had a great Labor Day. And today we're going to continue our iPad Air contest updates, which is going great. And plus, I want to share with you probably the greatest productivity tool I know. I kind of saying maybe it's one of, but this one really rates up there. So I'm excited to share that with you today. And it's very low tech, which is nice for some of you. And for those of you who like the high tech thing, the results of this will blow you away. So here we go today. September's here. So I always find that September's kind of like the new year, right? It's like a fresh start. People are back to exercising. They're back to learning after a summer of kind of, I don't know, kicking back a little bit. And so part of our iPad contest is incentive to give someone at your work, a family member, a friend, the gift of things they really, I can imagine, would ultimately want in life. Career stability, being able to know that your career is stable, whether your company exists or not. The skills learned in a Dale Carnegie program prepare someone to adapt and be flexible no matter what they do or where they go. Financial stability, with that sense of being marketable and being productive, a sense of financial stability follows. You know that you can go any place and that you will be compensated fairly and well for the kinds of results you're able to bring, particularly because Dale Carnegie is focused on influence and impact skills, which are the highest paid skills around. You'll also gain the gift of meaningful, strong, connected relationships, the things that really make life happen. John Maxwell wrote a book, something to the effect of everyone communicates, few connect. And today, being connected with each other is so rare, but so wonderful when we have that sense of connection. Includes children, teenagers, adults. People today are getting so fixated on the technology that they're losing that sense of connection, whereas you know that Dale Carnegie helps people really deeply connect again, and also a greater capacity for accomplishing things, whatever those might be in your personal life, if it's a hobby that you have, or if it's a sense of where you're taking your life, your career, your business. Dale Carnegie gives that. So by offering someone a Dale Carnegie experience, you're really giving them some amazing gifts. So we're giving you some incentive to do that. When you recommend someone for an upcoming Dale Carnegie course in Kitchener or Burlington, you get your choice of either a set of CDs, an iTunes card, or a gift card of your choice. And I don't care if it's to a restaurant, if that's what you want. We'll make sure you're taken care of for your recommending someone. And in addition to that, you get entered into a draw for an iPad Air, which is a fabulous piece of technology. And you will love that device, and for yourself or to give away or whatever you want to do with it. So that's the incentive. So please look around your organization. Who are some people you know would benefit from really getting challenged and coached? People that you care about and love, that you know the Dale Carnegie experience will be one of the greatest experiences they have in their life. Recommend them for this upcoming program in the next few weeks, and you'll be giving them one of the greatest gifts, and for yourself getting some nice prizes as a result. Today I want to give you what I think is the ultimate productivity tool, and I think there's nothing better in the world than a time log. Okay, maybe sounds boring. Maybe you're saying, what's a time log? I want to explain it. This is a very simple device, and if you want a copy of one that I use, I can send you a couple of copies of different things, but it doesn't matter what you do. You can use it on a simple piece of paper, do an Excel spreadsheet like you see on the screen here. Basically, it involves your day. And in every half hour of your day, taking some time to just record what it is you're doing, and then do some analysis once you've done the recording for the day. So here are some steps. Number one, start each day with a time log. So when you get up, even from when you get up in the morning, or if you want to do it when you start your workday, but I think you'll find that from the moment we get up, we're not always conscious of what we're doing in our time. So by writing down every 15 to 30 minutes what it is you're doing specifically, that is the first step to doing a time log. Now, when I say writing everything down, let's say you're at work and you're saying, I got a bunch of emails to send. Well, just don't write sending emails. make a note as to who is it for, who is it to, general purpose of the email, and that kind of detail. If you're making some phone calls, well, who specifically you're calling and what's the purpose? If you're in a meeting, don't just write down in a meeting. Write down what was the meeting for, what was the title of the meeting, who was involved, what was accomplished. Great thing about meetings is, does it have an agenda? If you have an agenda, you can write down where all those items on the agenda covered. If not, maybe that's an idea you can bring to the next meeting, but that's a whole other conversation. For now, write down everything you're doing, 15 to 30-minute segments. Don't judge it. Don't say this is insignificant. Even when you're taking a break, write that down. If you're surfing the internet, well, specifically, what are you surfing for? And so get it all captured. At the end of the day, you're going to analyze for what quadrants you were in during the day. Here's what I mean. You've probably seen this before, but if not, this is pretty eye-opening. We call this tyranny of the urgent. It seems that the urgent things in our life dominate, which pulls away the more productive things. So quadrant 1 is what is important and urgent. These are things that are just in your face. It's urgent because it's important to do it now, and important because it relates to your goals, your objectives, real critical things. Sometimes it's a crisis. Sometimes it's a deadline or a meeting if it's got some urgency, if it has to be broken in. It doesn't necessarily have to be a crisis, but it's important and urgent because it's on your calendar and it's got to get done. Quadrant 2 is different. Quadrant 2 are important, things that relate to our goals and our vision and our mission and our purpose in life, but they're not urgent. And these things tend to get short shrift. These are things people say are critical and important. You'll see there on the screen, vision and mission. Are you doing some planning, clarifying what you value, strengthening relationships, investing time connecting with people, improving processes. In our personal lives, this means spending time talking meaningfully or playing with our children or with our spouse or significant other. It's spending time with friends that's meaningful. This is also exercising, going to the gym. It's improving ourselves, educating ourselves, growing. Quadrant 2 is the most stimulating, meaningful time that we can be spending, but most people find they don't have time for it. Quadrant 3, these are things that are urgent. They're in your face, but they're not important. Things like immediate phone calls, emails popping up on your outbox or whatever your email provider is, voicemails, people dropping into your office, interruptions, things that are urgent because they're in your face, but they're really not important to the long-term vision, mission, goals that you have. These things, because they're so urgent, they tend to suck away a lot of life. We'll explain what to do with them in a moment. A lot of people find their days are dominated by quadrant 3. You only truly see the significance of that domination when you've done a time log. Quadrant 4 are things that are not important or not urgent. These are things you could stop doing and your life would not get any worse. In fact, it would probably get better because a lot of time goes here. These are things that take our attention away. They sometimes feel pleasant in the moment. Trivia, internet, Facebook checking, solitaire, escapes, things that just kind of get our minds off. This isn't like going for a walk to clear our heads. That's quadrant 2. We're talking things that really you could be doing other things with. Busy work. I know a lot of salespeople tend to do extensive, too much research on a client that doesn't really relate because they're trying to avoid an unpleasant task, which might be quadrant 1 or quadrant 2. So we can drop quadrant 4 pretty fast and still succeed. So what do you do with this information? Well, you go back to your time log, you score. Let me just show you. You would score your log. So write down everything. Give it a color if you want. Use a highlighter. You see some suggestions there on this screen. Do whatever you need to do to distinguish those time quadrants. Then ask yourself, okay, how much time was in quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4? If you have a lot of time in quadrant 1, nothing wrong with that. That's normal. Quadrant 1 is important and urgent, right? But If that quadrant 1 is stressing you out so much, you probably have some opportunities in quadrant 2 that if you invest some time proactively fighting fires, for example, maybe putting a plan in place, you can reduce the urgency of quadrant 1, because quadrant 1 can have a certain amount of stress related to it. Quadrant 2, if we can expand more of that, if you had some quadrant 2, your goal is to make more of it. In fact, optimally, if we could have a whole day of quadrant 2, I don't think it's ever totally possible, but a whole day of quadrant 2 is a great life. How much quadrant 3 did you have? Could you take away some quadrant 3? How much of it was things that you were interrupted by people, or crises or problems that came up? Could you have avoided some quadrant 3 and still had a great day? Well, our suggestion is make sure that you find ways, analyze your quadrant 3 and say, how could I do this differently next time? How can I do this differently tomorrow? Do some quadrant 2, block quadrant 2 in your time to get rid of quadrant 3. We want quadrant 3 to shrink as much as possible. We'll never eliminate it completely, nor will we ever eliminate quadrant 4. And it's okay to spend a bit of time in quadrant 4, but too much time in these quadrants, it steals from quadrants 1 and 2. Ask yourself, what worked today? What didn't work? What went well? What can I do less of or stop doing? A lot of things we do automatically every day, when you really analyze, you say, you know what, I probably could stop doing that completely and life would not fall apart. I love doing an 80-20 analysis, meaning as you look at your day and then your week, 80% of the things I did this week only produced 20% of the results. Which of those 80 could I reduce or stop doing? The flip side of that is 20%, approximately, we're not saying it's exact, but a small number of the things we did in the week produced a lot of results. They had a high leverage result. How could we do more of those things and reduce the 80% that just didn't make a big enough impact? I can promise you, if you do this analysis, do more 20% that make a difference, do less 80%, you will start revolutionizing your life, and I can promise you that. It'll cause you to really rethink a lot of fundamentals that right now you're not seeing because you're not keeping a time log, that I promise you, even the smartest among us will get new insights when legitimately doing a time log. What can we change for tomorrow? Here's a few more questions. How did what I do today relate to my vision and mission? If you don't have a vision and mission, well, you might want to put that in. But after looking at your time log, how much of it really was critical, important, long-term related stuff? If not, we need to really rethink it. If you had a lot of quadrant 3, what can I delegate? Now, I'm not saying you have to have people that report to you to delegate something, but you might ask yourself, who could do this better? And you might refer back to one of our other productivity tips in a previous video, like having someone at Fiverr do something, or have one of your spouse maybe do something that he or she prefers, or your children, maybe you could build them by delegating some housework task off or something. Systemize. What could you do that if you systemize it would make it simpler, shorter? What might that be? Maybe choosing a piece of software. Maybe, I know, just as a simple example, email. Quite often there's a lot of little email programs or tricks you can do to take certain emails, put them all into one file folder, only deal with them 30 minutes in the day rather than wasting time mishmash throughout the day. Next question is, what do I need to block into my day as quadrant 2 at the beginning of the week of the month? If we do not block quadrant 2 in, for example, if I don't block in time really building a relationship with my kids, I will find myself other things to do, or we'll find ourselves wasting time in really not meaningful activities. Could be watching TV, for example. A little bit of that's good and probably important, but am I really communicating with them? Blocking into our time to plan our next year or our next week. Blocking that time in frees us up tremendous amounts of time on the back end. Here's what we suggest to do. Keep doing this for at least a week. Keep a time log every day for a week. 2 weeks is even better. You'll get a better perspective. And every time you feel overwhelmed, or every 3 months, whichever comes first. And you will start seeing some opportunities to reduce your overwhelm, increase your productivity and life satisfaction. Here's the promise I make to every person. If you will keep a time log diligently, the way according to what we've talked about, you will free up at least a day per week of productive time if you analyze and act on your time log insights. That promise I make. I have told people that I will spend time with you. If you bring me your time log, if you still can't find legitimate time, we'll analyze it together. And I promise you, you will find a day per week of productive time every time you do this. So that's not an exaggeration. That is just the way it is when we're not consciously aware of what we're doing with our time, how it relates to our bigger picture, and then making some changes accordingly. So do keep a time log. Your life will change. I promise you that. We have some updated dates I have to announce. Actually, the only one that's really changed since our previous video was the Kitchener Dale. It is now September 24th, so you have a little more time to engage some people in that program. Burlington Dale Carnegie course, September 16th at the Burlington Holiday Inn, Kitchener Dale at the Kitchener Holiday Inn. And we are running a leadership training for managers in Morriston at one of our clients, North America Construction. They're hosting it, but it's open to the public, and we've got a great team forming there. That's September 26th, and that is for 3 Fridays, 2 in a row, and then we skip a week and resume after that. So call us for information, email us, check back with us, and we will look forward to working with you. So folks, engage some people in Dale Carnegie, use these productivity tips, and we will see you shortly.